Hey Ringside crew, welcome to the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. And now here's your host, Joe, Panther the Third.
Hey, hello there, wrestling fans, and welcome to the very last live episode of the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. I'm Joe Panther III, and man, what a year! What a year! This was my solo year, the second year of being a solo act. And man, I've had some fun wrestlers coming on live with me this year. So many people to thank. It's so little time, but I have a young lady on with me right now, right here, that she's doing a thing. She's being trained. She's a backstage interviewer and does much more. Tina, introduce yourself to my internationally known audience.
Hi there, I'm Tina Babineau. I am a pro wrestler and ring interviewer and occasional ring announcer from Halifax, Nova Scotia, east coast of Canada. I started training in 2021 under Kofi Christ from Kaizen Academy. From there, I transitioned into in-ring and backstage interviewer, and I also have occasionally done ring announcing, but I'm here for the dramatics, here for the camp, and here for the fun.
Awesome. Love that. Love the energy. So, when was the first time you knew professional wrestling was your bag, man?
Ooh. I actually got into pro wrestling late in life. I'm 34 now. I got into it in 2017, 2016-ish, through cosplay wrestling. I used to be a cosplayer pretty regularly. So I think it was always kind of there because like I would watch people dress up as like Rogue and stuff like that. And then I would dress up like that and I'd be like, oh my God. And then I started going to a lot of local shows, and actually it was a Kaizen show where I was just like, yeah, I feel like I could do this. And then the pandemic hit.
My one of my fans in the crowd, I hear she is a cosplayer as well. When it's in the chat, yeah, she's a cosplayer. She draws. She does pops of wrestlers. She's very awesome. She's from the Carolinas. She's one of my many awesome ringside crew that has come through. Actually, this is her first year. It's her 1 year of being a Dudes at Ringside crewer. So
Exciting.
Yes, girl. I'm so happy to have you on the board and so happy to have you part of the fans. So, who trained you?
Kofi Christ. So he's also from Nova Scotia. He's trained under Can-Am. 20-ish years, estimating it.
Wow.
He runs Kaizen Pro Wrestling Promotion, as well as the Academy. So he started that in 2020, and then training was sort of on and off because of the pandemic, and on and off because I have a lot of chronic health issues, including like really bad knees. So a lot of my training was very specific things I couldn't do. So I've been slowly training.
So with your knees, sorry for interrupting you. So with your knees being so bad, and with you doing the training, was there a limit for you for the training?
Oh yeah. I have like zero vert, so I can't do a lot of like I can't do like a basic international. Getting up and getting down it can be difficult for me. So a lot of the things that I do, I either take stuff out or I do sort of like a variation of it. Which is why it's I really enjoy taking it into a more backstage role per se, because I can still do things like I can't do an hour Iron Person match, but I can do enough things in the ring that can help make a story or help be part of a match or have like small matches. I just things have to be planned very particular. Like I have particular sets of shines and stuff that I can do. And then there's also a lot of stuff that I know I absolutely can't do. So
Mm. With you're a backstage interviewer. That's like the coolest things. You put a lot of energy into your like character and stuff like that. When it comes to certain characters that you're interviewing, do you have to like step back and think, okay, how do I approach this person?
definitely, especially with Kaizen, because it's very like heavy story driven in that promotion. But like also a lot of times I just sort of like I see how I vibe with the person. Um, because of, as much as I love being a character, I love drawing from like you as a person. That was one thing that we were taught in training is like our debut would always be us as ourselves. So it was always never like the idea of like think of your character first. It's
Mm.
like get the grasps of the wrestling, whether it's physical or storytelling or both, and then let yourself become the character. Um, so like there's definitely some people that like I have some things that I would prepare myself. I find it's more of like, you know, key points. If it's like a post-match interview, I'm like, what are key things that you want me to mention from your match? Is there anything you need me to avoid? So like things like that. Though my first time ever doing interviews, it was at a Kaizen show and it was the opening match. And it was one of our locals that have been around the scene forever, JP Sims. Um, amazing wrestler, amazing character work. Versus Reverso,
I
and
know
like
him.
super baby face Reverso too. Actually, shout out wearing
I
his
haven't
shirt.
spoken to Reverso in a while. He sent me a T-shirt and everything.
I'm wearing
When
his
he wore a
merch now.
mask, when he was a lucha, when he had the mask on and everything.
Yeah. So it was him as a baby face in his like blue lucha mask and like his classic one. And I was so unprepared. And he is like all bubbly and happy and like baby fit, like super fun. And then JP comes turning around the corner, full angry, hadn't been prepped for anything, and just starts yelling at me, like full yelling. And like I had known JP for a long time, and like that's not him in real life. Like he's an amazing person. So to see that switch of him into like his character, I was just like, oh my god! And it's so funny because I remember Covey was one filming it at the time, and afterwards he was like, and even now we joke about it. He's like, "That was your best work ever," and I'm like, "That was legit." I was terrified. Like I thought I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. I thought I was gonna cry, and I almost did, and it was like perfect. But yeah, I just vibe with the person and hope it goes well.
The other thing is with your outfits, do you have like a certain outfit you choose for that show, or do you just like you go like you like the blind dart thing? You just go me.
Um, so I've lately started to do my makeup based off of the show posters. Um, Especially Kaizen and another promotion I used to do, Toothy, um, which was like a bar show. That one I could my outfits wouldn't necessarily go with that because it could be a bar show and those ones I did in the ring mostly, so and I would sometimes have spots, so I had to be a little careful. But one of our referees locally, she's now in Ontario, Abby Muse, amazing referee, book her lots. She always did her eye makeup to match the posters. So now that she's gone, a whole bunch of us, we do the same thing. So we're like carrying out her tradition. But usually my outfits are just wild.
Yeah, I just saw with the different outfits you wear. Now let's go into it. Like the video that I posted on the Instagram page. Like how many bumps have you taken like in a match? Like there were some sick ones that I saw. You got RKO'd. Like I
I've
was
gotten
like,
our,
oh.
I've gotten his simulator 3 times. 3 times. That was part of our storyline. So we had an interview really early on in that promotion. It was JP and I actually. And again, he and I, we bounced off of each other really well. Like we could improv really well. It was a very like yes and conversation. And it was really good. It was a really good interview. Sometimes bar shows, it can be a little dicey because if you don't have something physical, especially depending on where it is in the night, drunk people,
Oh yeah.
sometimes they tune out. But like he's one of those people where he can just command a crowd really well. And I really enjoy working with those sort of people. So after that, the promoter was just like, we gotta do this. And I was like, I would love to take his finisher. And we were just like, at one point, I think it was another show a few months later, we couldn't remember. I think I was supposed to do something. Oh, I remember. I was supposed to be interviewing Eli Surge. And I don't know if you've seen Eli, but he's like the birds aren't real. And he comes out in like a tinfoil hat and like a cape. And it's like he gives tinfoil hats out to the audience. And it's a very like crazy entrance. But the interview was before his match. So we had to on the fly cut it or like change it because we didn't want to like spoil his match entrance. So we were just like, JP and I were like, we'll just do something again. And he was like, want to take a bump tonight? And I was like, sure, I'm in pants tonight. And there I went. And then we just kept doing it.
Have you ever had the fans like you take a bump and then you're on the ground like, did they react? like to hear the crowd?
Yeah, it's funny because the first time I took his RKO, I had to dead sell it because like we knew it would be like regardless of no matter how drunk or bored the crowd was or whatever, which they weren't. Like I'm like a small girl like me, like it's gonna be effective, even if for some reason I botched it.
Oh God!
But it came out. It came out perfect, and I had to I had to sell it like I had died. So I was just laying there forever, and I thought a referee was supposed to come out to kind of help me out, but there's a little bit of I don't know what happened. I think someone might have gotten in the way of them like coming out because it was such a busy bar. So the ring announcer did it for me, and he kind of slipped in. But the whole time I was laying there being like, I just want to move my head. I just want to roll. Can someone please get me out of the middle of the ring? Because like I didn't really know. I was just like, at some point I need to get out, but I need to keep selling it.
Like, does it like there's certain rings that I've seen. I got a chance to go in one ring. A few rings, but the ring I got a chance to go was in PA. It was like an older looking ring. Do you ever like when you take a bump in a ring? Do you ever like try to find the spot that's not like the super weird part of the ring that you're not gonna like all the impact? Like,
I am pretty blessed that so far the rings I've had to take a bump in weren't that bad. Especially the Kaizen ring. That ring is amazing to bump in. We actually, one of our wrestlers had come across a gymnastics place up the road that was selling some of their old gymnastic carpet. So that's what's like underneath the bump padding. So there's like extra cushion, and it doesn't actually affect the bump of it. So I'm pretty, and even the other rings I've worked in weren't that bad, thankfully, or I didn't have to bump in them.
Yeah, I went to a show in Scranton. Their show is called New Era Pro Wrestling. It's a really good promotion. They get random stars from like PA and New Jersey and stuff like that. I think they have any backstage interviewers, but I could be wrong. Their ring, I was sitting ringside and I was looking at the ring and looking at the mat, and I was just like, oh my God, I could see the mat under the ring, like under the tarp. And I was like, that's like seeing like the panty lines under the girl's skirt. Like I was like,
What ring aprons are for.
I'm like, I could see your panty lines, girl. Panty lines. You're not wearing the thing under your skirt. I could see your thumb. Girl.
No, I've been pretty lucky that I haven't had any issues so far with having a crappy ring to bump in.
have you ever? I guess you said you were injured before, but like, have you ever thought of like if the wrestlers like wanted to challenge you, they would say, "Okay, I want to challenge you to a hardcore match." Would you do it?
Oh yeah. It's funny because as a fan, I'm not a big fan of hardcore. But that's a very hardcore can go in so many directions with what you do. You can go so gimmicky with it that like I wouldn't need to have to worry about like possible physical limitations or like certain moves that might be difficult for me or something like that. Because like you could go silly with it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know if I probably wouldn't do like light bulbs or stuff like that, but that's personally because I'm not a big fan of those. Same with like the chopstick spot that happens a lot, or like the spike sticks in the forehead. But like a couple of shows ago at Kaizen, we had, so the theater the show was at is called Alderney Landing. And so it was like a brawlderney, and it was just like, 6-person tag, and it was like bring a weapons sort of tag match, no DQ, and it was so fun. Like there was so many different weapons, and at some point I get dragged into it, and I end up giving them my tornado. One of the fellas, Ryan Cleary, my tornado. But there's like a cowbell in it. Our referee actually in that match, he like legitimately does BJJ as well, so he got to do something in the match. It was just like, I feel like I would do something like that again, like for sure, like something not necessarily like hardcore, but like more on the fun side.
No death match. No death match
Yeah,
for this lady. No
death match, but like minus light bulbs. I think.
Yeah.
I think light bulbs is definitely where I draw the line.
Those freak me out. Like my dad, Papa Panther, sends me on a daily basis 3 to 4 videos of a death match scene, and then I come upstairs for dinner or to come react to his video, and I go, "Thanks, Dad." He goes, "What the fuck was that?" And I'm like, "Dad, I know." He's like, "How do they call that wrestling? That's not wrestling. That's a fucking match. That's a brawl. That's fighting. That's fight. They be fighting." I'm like, "I know they're fighting, Dad."
Yeah, I'm a really big fan of Joshi wrestling, so I'll like some of the ones I'll watch will have like a lot of the Joshi girls in it.
Yeah.
But I find a lot of those they'll often like balance it with other aspects of wrestling. But I don't know. I draw the line at some things.
Yeah, there's some parts that I'm just like, no. Even someone's like, "Oh, would you ever get into wrestling?" I'm like, "Yeah, my dream is to become a wrestler, but like I'm 5'1" and I work in a senior home, and I don't want to go to work the next day and with like a bloody. I wouldn't have, of course, I would go to the doctor or have someone to help me bandage myself up, but imagine trying to explain to someone that doesn't watch wrestling, see you come into work before looking all sweet and cute, no black eyes and no bloody nose, and you come in with a nice large shiner.
It's
Like,
funny because I've never gotten a shiner in wrestling, but I've gotten quite a few shiners from mosh pits. But it's funny because like, so I've had the bad knees since I was like a child, and then in training I got a secondary injury, bursitis, basically like under my butt.
Oh no.
And it's like the randomest injury ever, but it is the absolute worst. I would never, it's like, it's one of those things where like you kind of this, like when you think of pro wrestling injuries, you think of like, well, like obviously concussions are a very serious thing that often happens. But like sometimes pro wrestling will give you like the really weird injuries where you're like, where did this come from?
You'll probably go back to work the next day and you'll feel like you'll be fine, and everybody will see your neck and they'll be like, "Ooh,
yeah." Or you like
crazy night with you and your girl." What?
No, it's like honestly, it's more like you'll try to move slightly, and then it's just like your neck will stop here, and it'll just be like raging, like pulsating knots everywhere.
They'll be like, was it Hickey from Kanicki? It gave you a Hallmark card. What do you mean? Your neck. Did you get bit by a zombie? Oh no, I was doing a match and I got hit. Am I in the Beetlejuice world? Did I break my neck and everybody's still in the ring going?
I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen that before, but like rope burns they suck.
I've seen right? Like these wrestlers go rope to rope, and like I've had to explain to people I work with. They're like, "Oh, those ropes are ropes," and I'm like,
some are, some are.
really? Some of the ropes are real ropes.
Well, ours is so at Kaizen, our ring is like the ropes are like made out of actual rope. They're like military ropes, like really thick. You'll find some rings like that, but most of them are typically like the steel cable with it wrapped around.
I had to explain that to someone at my job. I said, "Those aren't ropes. Those are cable. Those are like he was prepping, so I was looking out the window with him, and I'm like, see those wires that are like actual wires that are like keeping the power on in this area? That's what the freaking wrestlers are throwing themselves into. They're like, those people are crazy. I'm like, well, yeah, they do it for my entertainment."
It's fun. I remember we used to, in one of our training days, we would do like learning how to run the ropes, and it'd be like one person starts this way, and then another person, usually it would be Kobe at first, would start going this way, and you'd have to like time it right. And it'd be like really fun, especially when you are on like the neurodivergence and you get like a good song in your head, and then suddenly you're like and you realize, oh my god, I've been doing this for like 5 minutes.
Like everybody has stopped and everybody's eating their lunch. You're still running the ropes.
Yeah.
You're running the ropes to the beautiful people.
Accurate.
So with you, like being not like you're not very tall, you're thing. Do you? I don't know if I didn't get a chance to run the ropes at Smash Masters in Scranton, but the lady could tell that I kind of knew what I was doing. Do you grab up on the ropes, or do you do the Rey Mysterio? Do you grab the middle rope?
I always grab on top, even if I can't really reach, just because for safety reasons that will save your life if a rope breaks. So like even if it's like really awkward for me, I will always do that. I was doing more of a Rey Mysterio, and then when my hip or injury, the bursitis hit, I kind of had I'm somewhere between Rey Mysterio and, this is embarrassing, Snoop Dogg. Okay. Where like I don't do a full sit in like Ray. I'm more of like a lean back. But I do always try to put my arm up there just because we had one guy that was working a show in PEI, and while they were just like getting into the ring way before the show, after it was set up, the rope snapped on him, and had he not done that, he would have been.
Oh God! It's
like, yeah, I'm like, no, thank you.
It was funny because it was funny. I just was like, I'm gonna take a picture in the ring. Yeah, we get in the ring. So I grabbed the middle rope and I like leaned about it, and I could hear the rope going. Because like I was leaning against it, and she's like, "Oh, you really know where to grab?" And I was like, "I'm short."
Right? You just naturally do that.
Because I don't want to grab all the way like above me, making myself look like Fidget Man. Grandpa's in heaven going, "Oh, my nephew's so short."
It's funny because I'm not like. Well, it also like I guess it depends too on like the ring. Now that I think about it, how tall the ring is. Because I know for the Kaizen one, I'm just a little bit between the grabbing size. I typically make myself go for that top one. Excuse me. But like I've also like there's one show that I did. Did I wreck that show? I did makeup for someone for that show. And it was in like I can't remember if it's 10 feet or 12 feet, but it was like the smallest ring. And the apron was so short that even when I tried to sit on the apron, I could barely do it. I was like, how am I too tall for this?
It's crazy. Like I've been in the ring for back in the day, I get a chance to meet one of the eliminators from ECW, the franchise.
Oh, okay, yes. Okay.
I met him, and that ring was, I'd never been in a ring before, so I was like, okay, it was like kind of like a trampoline-ish thing. You got to be able to step. But then the one in Smash Masters, the lady is like, okay, Joey, I just went to the middle rope and I just leaned in and I ducked in and I got in the ring, and she thought I was just gonna be like, I just like calmly walked. It was kind of like walking on the moon. Like that's how I explained it. Non-wrestler. If you're not a wrestler doing it, it's like walking on the moon. What? I made it on the like a Dumb and Dumber. I'm on the moon. They landed on the moon. That's what I felt like.
No, I remember our first day. So my first full class, we did like basic rolls, and like I never did sports because like my knee issue started when I was like 9, so I never grew up really doing sports stuff. And then I started to put a lot of effort into like controlling my legs, and I started doing weight training, and I got to a point where my doctor, who's also a sports doctor, he was like, he's like, I'll give you the green, I'll green light you to do pro wrestling as a sport if you find a trainer that like can work with your issues, and I will review and like make sure as well. And I did. Kobe's amazing for that. Like, I didn't think I would be able to do something like this, and he, even if I can't be in the ring all the time, he found avenues, and he works like, one of our wrestlers is deaf. We have folks with other physical issues. We have someone with like a TBI. Like, we have so many different people. He just will find like things to take out and things that can be plugged in. And that's what he did with me. And I just remember like first day we did like lockups and rolls, and I did like my first front roll, which is just like a basic teddy bear roll, and I was over the fucking moon. I was so happy. I was like, I've never done something like this before. Like, that was the most athletic thing I had really done since like elementary gym class. And I was just like, huh. And it's like, it's the same thing when you like get in, you're just like, oh my gosh, like, what is this? And it's like that excitement that you feel. I'm just like, this is why people become pro wrestlers.
Yeah.
It hurts, but this feeling is amazing.
So with me being a local in a little small area, with your wrestling shows, do you like, when at the end of your shows when you're going home, do you go anywhere specifically for dinner, or is there like, do you pack a dinner so you don't have to go out?
It depends. Oh, hello, this is my cat.
Kitty?
He's the needy boy. It depends. Cause some shows, like, I rarely go out to dinner afterwards unless it's like through McDonald's drive-through. Just because like ring crew will take a while sometimes. If you have a good group of people, you could, get ring crew done really fast. Bar shows are the hardest because like they'll usually be later. Our Kaizen ones end pretty early because they're like a kid friendly in like a provincial run theater. So, but yeah, sometimes we'd go for drinks afterwards, especially if we have a lot of like out of towners, like folks from Ontario or something like that come down. Bye. That's my cat. But yeah, usually I end up just like coming home, and like one of us will go through a drive-through, grab a bunch of nuggies, and then blanket for it.
I love chicken nuggets. This is going into more of the food. Did you notice that Wendy's is trying to get on the Nuggies game?
Yeah. It's funny because like their nuggies aren't bad. It's funny, the closest fast food to me where I'm living right now is actually Burger King, and their nuggets aren't awful either. My favorite though is definitely A&W next to McDonald's.
Ooh, you guys hate? Oh, jealous. The last AMW we have around here is all the way up. I think it's near Allentown, Pennsylvania, or maybe it's somewhere deep in Scranton. Because every time I'm driving, I drive by and go, there it is. Must be the last one in the world, the dodo bird. the last dodo bird in the world. Like,
What's the other one that was really good? I did a show in Moncton, New Brunswick, and their nuggies were really good too. Arby's.
ooh,
And like
really?
we don't I think there's like one Arby's in Nova Scotia and it's nowhere near here. So like we were so excited when we were like, oh my god, there's an Arby's.
We have we have a lot of Popeyes here. Since I live in the small town, we got like 4 pizza places in one town.
Wow.
No, three pizza places in one town. A bar, like 2 or 3 bars. Got Popeyes, McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell.
Oh, no.
I
brings back terrible memories, Taco Bell.
let's just say that meme of that little boy going, I gotta go to the bathroom.
We're Halifax is a pretty decent sized city. We have a lot of bars. We're a drinking city. So there's a lot of places to get a sip, which we'll sometimes do again, like sometimes after a show, but it really depends on how like fast we get things torn down. And then like if there's folks from like away, we'll sometimes go and you know have drinks with them or something. Especially if actually speaking of Reverso, he used to work a lot at Kaizen, and usually a whole bunch of us would try to like get together with him at some point. But
I like Reverso. When you speak to him, please tell him Joe Panther III misses working with him.
Well, he's one of my favorite people, like in general, but in wrestling.
He was just changing his gimmick to the non-luchador one that he is now, and he sent me the t-shirt with the R on the the pocket, and on the bottom it says you think he would have put it right on the back? No, he had to put it on the bum, like the bottom of the shirt. So like I'm looking past, people are just like, I'm like, well, they're giving me a look. Nope. Thank you, Reverso. They're all staring at your name.
It's funny because I didn't even like, again, I only got into wrestling like later in life. Like it was never really a thing in my life before that. But I was always like, I go to a lot of Comic-Cons through cosplaying and stuff like that. And I was always a huge fan of the comics Cyanide and Happiness.
Mm.
And I didn't realize until one day he and I are just like, we're standing there chatting when he's down for a show. And I can't remember how it comes up, but I mentioned Cyanide and Happiness. And he's like, oh yeah. Like he made like a joke about like, you know, I was just so thrilled by them that I didn't see them. And I literally stopped dead in my tracks because I realized that they have a wrestling character in it. And it's Reverso. And when they do that, the comic reverses itself. And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, you need to tell me that's you. And I literally brought it up on my phone, and it's his blue original mask. And I'm like, holy shit. I was like, dude, that's amazing. And he's just like, yeah, I was so stoked. I'm so over. And I'm like, I love how that's the height of your career.
Like, I haven't even seen him in a long time. I haven't seen anything. He hasn't popped up on my Instagram or anything.
Really? He just
weird.
Which belt does he have at Maple Leaf? Which just had I think they've had 2 shows now. But it's funny that you mentioned when changing characters, because he has quite a few different characters of himself now. And
really?
You need to check it out because some of them are amazing. One of them is like hip-hoppy, borderlining, cheesy John Cena vibes, and I'm absolutely here for it. And he's like, I can't praise him enough. He understands wrestling on a whole nother level that anytime I hear him talk about it, it's just like I'm in awe. Like his brain, I'm just like, I just pick it apart.
He's a good guy, and he didn't have to send me a t-shirt like what he did. He sent me a t-shirt. He sent me an 8x10 and everything. Aww. I was like, this guy is legitly the cool guy, the cool wrestler that'll be like, no, I'll send you something. You know, I've had wrestlers send me T-shirts, but his means a lot because it's something from that you get something from somebody from the States. He's from Canada. So, yeah,
Exotic.
yeah, exactly. I got a T-shirt from England and Australia,
Nice.
but that's from Canada. You know, like Canadian. My dad's like, that's from Canada. A, and I'm like, no, Dad, they don't say A.
It's funny because I used to work for a doctor who he had previously lived in Alabama, and he had a friend still there, and they would correspond by mail. And one time a package came for him and it was labeled moose meat. And I'm like, that's a really weird thing for someone from Alabama to send to a Canadian, moose meat. And it was actually like Scotch.
Oh, geez.
And he labeled it as whiskey to get it through.
Do you think they shook the thing to see if there was actual moose meat in there? Or do you think they just said, like sent it to the conveyor?
In like freezer package, like it was frozen meat. I don't know how, but I feel like someone at Border Control or whatever knew that and was probably giggling over it, because I'm like, why would you be sending from Alabama moose meat to Canada? We have moose everywhere.
Is there Canada? Is there moose in Alabama? Like,
I actually didn't look.
That's weird. I'm like, you look at your phone. Is there moose in Alabama?
I mean, I'll be like, damn.
I can see you doing this.
Now my phone's here.
Nope, they don't got moose there, but they got a lot of random weird things, weird people there. Alabama. So we got in the Poconos too. I've had people ask me why I wear the red glasses. I'm like, because I have to see your face through them. You know, like, what? No, nothing. And I walk away. Yeah. One person says, because you see the rosiness of people through the red glasses, and I was like, yeah.
Aww.
And I said, I try to see the rosiness. Sometimes I just see the scumbaggery.
Gotta call it like you see it.
Yeah, that's why I'm an interviewer.
Hey.
So I see you're drinking the drink. What did you drinking tonight? What's the drink of choice?
It is kombucha.
Ooh, I like kombucha. Which one is it?
This one is, the brand is Remedy, and it's raspberry lemonade.
Ooh, is it good?
Yeah, it's not bad. I like this one because it's cheap, and it doesn't have, I don't think it has sugar. Yeah, it doesn't have sugar in it, so I try to follow a healthy diet to help with my chronic health issues as best as I can.
So do you have a certain like meal plan that you do, or like workout with the training, or like anything you do? Do you have to like stay in a certain diet and everything?
Yeah, I follow an anti-inflammatory diet, so I cut out red meat, and then I try to avoid gluten, dairy, and refined sugars as much as I can. So I end up eating a lot of protein and fiber, of course. So basically, I found too, like, it sounded scary when I took it on, or like very like fatty, like diet fad. But it's basically like a Mediterranean diet. Like, I just started eating more vegetables.
Yeah.
And like sometimes I'll still like treat myself. Like, again, like I don't have nuggets all the time, but like after a wrestling show, I'll always have nuggets to make it like extra special. And then I do, pardon me, I have like set physio-esque exercises that I do, or I attempt to keep my knees up. I'm not gonna lie, lately my like real life has been really busy and chaotic. My partner just moved in a month ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we're like trying to amalgamate our two cranky old cats, and had like a lot of work stuff was happening, so neither of us have been able to like keep on our stretching routine or get to the training very much, but I'm hoping in the new year we can get back into it.
Yeah. So before we go, Do you have any fun stories from the ring?
Oh, whoa.
That
Geez.
won't get you in trouble.
I don't know if they're funny. I don't know. Actually, this is probably my favorite funny story. One time, it was my first in-ring interview at a bar show, and this is where I started to wear more ridiculous outfits. Actually, a lot of them are dance outfits that I get off Marketplace. So they'll have like built-in shorts because it was a bar show. So I was like, I can, dance or dress a little more adultish. So I wore this really nice cocktail dress, very fitted, way too fitted. I stumbled getting into the ring because I couldn't, I could barely move my legs to get through the rope, and completely almost ate shit getting into the ring while trying to announce the person I'm about to interview. Thankfully, his name is Charlie Hubley, amazing wrestler. He's now in Ontario. He is incredible promo worker and such a great heel. And he just immediately came out and just started making fun of me. And as embarrassing and funny as it was, it kind of worked out because it played to him. But after that, I was like, never again. But yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of funny, silly moments, but I kind of I enjoy the silly.
The sillies are good,
Yeah.
To you, most people will be like, "Why is she being so? Why'd that happen to her like that?" But it's your personal thing that happened to you,
Yeah, I always I enjoy having segments where I can get a little more ridiculous with things. Right now we have a wrestler. They're becoming more gremlin-y and aggressive, and they're starting to bite their opponents. So every time I hold the mic, they try to bite the microphone or bite me. So it's stuff like that. I've got to pie someone in the face once, got it everywhere. That was embarrassing. That was funny but also embarrassing because we got whipped cream everywhere, and I was running around for a mop without letting the people at the theater know.
Oh God.
Thankfully, one of the wrestlers there, my partner, he used to work there, so it's just where's the custodian closet? Don't tell them. I need a mop stat.
That whipped cream that could stain the ring, and also it could because it's cream, it could milk. It could,
It was thankfully it was a backstage interview. We did get it out of the backdrop, thank God.
Oof.
But oh no, that ring sees a lot of messy stuff. Bar shows especially. Ugh.
People probably throwing bottles.
I haven't seen thrown bottles. This is kind of a gross one, but I did see a fan, get sick and push it into the ring apron.
What?
And they got sick, and I think and they pushed it into the ring apron, and that wasn't fun.
I would have been pissed if I saw that. I've been like, you ruined their perfectly good apron.
Yeah. I was I was across from them. I was watching it, and I was across from them. I couldn't see, but I went up to one of the filmers that was roaming, and I let them know. And I was just like, "Hey, that way, go this way. Tell someone quick." So that wasn't pleasant.
Wrestling and beer.
Ugh, it's the worst. I can.
Yeah. Not a thing. Wrestling fans are fun, but just don't throw up. I don't throw up on the ring. No.
But yeah, I don't know. I've thankfully had not as many embarrassing or funny moments. Sometimes I pronouncing names is always a big fear of mine. I'm sure it's for you as well, making sure you get someone's name right.
Oh yeah, that's why I asked you before we went live. I have to, because I've had wrestlers that I say their name and they're like, do it again. You introduce Mike. Want me to start? What you want me to do the whole intro again? Do you want me to start do it from the beginning and do the song. I'm not going to go back off and go back live again. We can't do that.
That's like the few times I've done ring announcing. Like, I will do it in a special occasion. Like, I did it at HowCon, which is our big convention here. And, like, I did it for Pride shows. And, like, I'll do it in a blue moon. But, like, I don't think I could do it full time. Because, like, to get a wrestler's intro wrong, no thank you. I did once, actually. That's a funny one. More a ha-ha at me funny. We did a Pride show, and it was half drag, half wrestling. So it was
Boy.
drag number, wrestling match, drag number, wrestling match. And then it would eventually lead up to a lumberjack Jill person match. And all the people on the outside, the folks, would be both wrestlers and drag artists. So there'd be funny, like, moments for both of them. And I remember the first act was supposed to be a drag number. And the drag artist, one of them, was so, like, nervous and worried. And for some reason in my brain, I was just like, no, they need more time. And without even cluing in, like, ADHD unmedicated, worse for this, I just straight up announced the wrestling match after first.
Oh, jeez.
And I was like, oh my God, what did I do? They say start with a hot opener.
Somebody should have been drinking a beer before the show.
I don't drink, thankfully, but it worked out somewhat. Like, the promoter was, like, kind of freaking out, but then the wrestlers were like, no, we got this. They went out, did their thing, everything was fine, and then the drag number happened, and everyone was, like, calm and okay afterwards, and I was like,
Yeah,
but that's probably one of my most embarrassing stories.
It's crazy. Do you have any 8x10s? If my fans, anybody wants to get an 8x10 of you?
It's funny because I'm actually just about to launch those.
Ooh, wow! Did we just become best friends?
Hey! I am going to be doing some 8x10s, wrestling as well as cosplay 8x10s, and then stickers that were designed by a local artist here in the Maritimes. So I'm going to be dropping that on my Instagram either. So originally I was going to do, because right now is about to become like a winter break around here for shows, mailouts, but right now Canada has a postal strike.
Yep. Dynamite Doll. You know of her?
Oh, yeah.
She was gonna send me some merch, and then she said that it's a strike. So
yeah,
shout out to Dynamite Doll. She knows what you're paying. Like,
yeah. So those will be happening. They will just be coming out after the strike, unless you're local.
Yeah,
if you're local,
I feel bad because she's like, I want to send you stuff, Joe, but I'm like, then go to. In my head, I'm like, just sneak into Detroit, like. You're little. Just find a fence that's broken and just be like, I need to send Joe stuff. Shit, fuck you, people. Rubble. Have your partner push you to a fence like a baby trying to get through the border. Like,
I'll just scale it, DDT someone.
You just jump over, fly Rey Mysterio, flying squirrel.
Accurate.
Or just send your cat with like a little barrel around its neck with an address saying, bring me to Milford, Pennsylvania in your car. And then you just, and then
it's funny because the artist actually that made one sticker for me, which is like one of me giving a DDT, because people call me DDTina. Right? All right.
Yeah.
The other one actually has my cat in it. Because I post so much about my cat on Instagram that they're like, here's a sticker of you and your cat. And I'm like, thanks.
Yes.
But yeah, in the most likely December into the new year, I will have stuff.
Definitely, when you do collab with me, I'll love it. I have no problem with it posting on my wall. Please.
Awesome.
I love promoting. I love helping promote professional wrestlers any way I can. So you guys can get your name out there all over the world. And you see right now you're being streamed in all over the world, and pretty much in New York, in Little Pike County, Pennsylvania, and then it's into the atmosphere. Bing, bing, bing.
It's exciting, especially for someone like in my position, because like I'm not your typical like wrestler per se. Like I've done wrestling, and I'm there to like I can do spots and stuff in matches, but I'm not like your regular wrestling worker, I guess. I'm like this really niche person that helps tell stories and helps carry promos and create moments or create breath of creativity, fresh airness. So it's really awesome to have like an outlet for people to like see that.
And it's with me, with it being my last live of the year for Dudes at Ringside, because Ghost Head Nerd Talk, the other green meat that's on this channel, Joe Panther Variety Show, will still be running until our 100th episode, which is December 16th. Nice. Sorry, plug. I know Ghostbusters Joe just said thanks for the plug. Of course, that's my OG show. I got to give it a plug. Ghost Head Nerd Talk will be continuing live till December 16th. That is our 100th episode / season finale, season 8 finale.
Nice.
And this is our last live of the season. Before we go, do you have any questions for me?
Ooh. What inspired you to create this and like what inspired you to become an interviewer?
My grandfather was a professional wrestler in the 50s and 60s. He's the reason why I wear the red glasses. My dad told me about him when I was about like 8 or 9 years old. And I just knew that I had to become a professional wrestling fan. And I met a female wrestler on Long Island when I used to live there named Foxy. And I worked with another person for 3 years. And she was the very first person I ever interviewed. And I knew from that day, I was like, we have to keep interviewing wrestlers. I feel like a lightning bolt went. Whoosh. Something sparked in my head. And I said, this can't be just a pre and post show. It's no fucking way that we could just be pre and post for WWE content. I like, my grandfather would have went, you idiot. That was my old job. My old job was WWE. You're going to work for my company. You're going to work for us. But I knew after interviewing Foxy, I was like, this is going to be a pro wrestling interviewing podcast. This is going to stay what it is. And then Kiara opened the door for the international like thing. And I don't treat this like a podcast or like an interview. I treat it like we're hanging out at your house, got some pizza, and found an old Survivor series from 1989 or 90s, and we're just found the cassette tape in a box, and we're just sitting there freaking just chit-chatting, just talking shit, and just watching and going, the model Rick Martel. Look at that. Look at that guy. What do you think of his purple outfit? Look at those little purple tights and him coming in like I just treat it more like we're at the bar, like hanging out, drinking a beer, just hanging out, or being fancy, sophisticated, drinking a glass of wine, just watching wrestling, just talking. The thing is, I'm a talker, and I know I talk a lot, but still, I do this to have fun and keep my grandfather's name alive.
Nice.
In the wrestling business. Yep.
Quick follow-up question, if that's all right. I know, and I very appreciate as well. You incorporate a lot of and showcase a lot of female workers. Who would be your favorite female wrestler?
Ooh, in the indie scene or in the big stage?
Anywhere.
I would say indies. Oh my gosh, Kat from Canada. Kat, not Kat Von Heel. Kat, Kat Von Cage. Oh, I love her. She's one of my people. Yeah, she's helped me so much to get a lot of female. I feel that I like interviewing the male wrestlers because they're really good in their characterization, but the female wrestlers don't get the support, and commentators, ring announcers, they don't get the support they deserve. And Kat really helped me. She had me do an interview with her. Then I came back and she did it again with her. And then I had Danny Leo and her do a rivalry episode on Dudes at Ringside podcast. I don't know if you saw that on there. And this was me. I'm like, how is this gonna work? And Danny Leo and Kat went, just roll with it, Joe. Just ask your little questions. And we planned this out. I'm like, you planned this out? Oh fuck.
Got you.
We'll let you know when it's done. And then Kat started arguing with her and then did it back and forth. And then Kat just took off and Leo was like, I'm out of here. And I was just like, well, it would just be by myself on the screen. And I was just like, well, good night, everybody.
Oh my God. Awkward.
I was like, let go. And I stopped the podcast. And I don't know. I just thank so much, like Kat. I would love to have her back on. She's been giving me a little bit of ideas on who. There's a lot of Canadian talent that I have not had on the podcast that I want, and it's hard. Like Puff, he's on my list for 2025.
Yes,
I have to have Puff because here we go. If he's watching this, Puff, don't kill me. He messaged me, gave me a date, and then he told me I can't do it, and then I never heard from him again. I was like, oh.
Okay, but like Loki, that's happened to me with for those who weren't here for that, I tried a YouTube channel to do interviewing, and I got as far as like 3 people. One interview went awry, technical wise, and then I had so many other ones lined up, and same thing, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I got injured, and I was just like, well, to the wayside you go. Yeah. I've never really told any about that, but I was like, eep, now you all get to know. Yeah. Sometimes at the same time, I don't like hold it too hard because like life is busy.
Yeah. I just want to get some fresh blood. I want to have some people that I've had on the podcast, bring back Kat, try to get Danny Leo by herself to interview with her. But I want to get some fresh blood. I want to get some new people from Dudes at Ringside for next year. I don't want to have the same old sheep. I like sheep, same old people. Like, I got some. February is Women's Wrestling Month. That's what I do every February. Every February is Women's Wrestling Month. Even though my people are like, why February? No, February it's February. Even though it's cold, all the girls are like, anything, it's cold. Like, Joe, but a damn studio, it's cold. I can't afford a porch. I don't have that money. Barely got air conditioning to keep my building open. During the summertime, like sucks. Just kidding.
I'm in a really old like house, so everything is like taped up right now because it's winter.
Yeah. So, with it for you, it's going to be the end of the season for the wrestling shows. You just said it's coming to the end. Like, when's the last show, or has it already happened?
So Kaizen's already had their last show. There's a few more shows happening into December. But yeah, for the most part, our next show at Kaizen is a battle royale show, and actually that was the first time I got to do something in ring. Was the last battle royale in 2022. And I got to kick my coach in the face.
Oh, geez.
And I tried DDTing him, and I got eliminated. But it's January 4th. And then, so yeah. And then it really depends on, I feel like, how the winter goes here. Because, like, we've got a lot of promotions in the city and then quite a few promotions just outside the city. So traveling becomes a bit of an issue where, like, and then, like, a lot of wrestlers will come up from New Brunswick and vice versa. So, like, if the winters are too harsh, then a lot of shows won't tend to happen. So it just kind of overall becomes a little bit of, like, a quiet time.
Yeah. So before we go, if my fans want to follow you on social media, how can they find you?
Yeah, on Instagram and TikTok, it's Tinks, Tinks, Babs, Babs. Trying to remember if there's an underscore or not. I'm terrible at this. You can also follow Kaizen Pro Wrestling on Instagram and TikTok. as well as our Facebook page. They post the interviews and segments on Facebook, as well as if you're an IWTV watcher, the shows and segments are also on that. Same with, it used to be called Downtown Wrestling, but now it's under North Pro Wrestling. One promotion eloped the other promotion. Absorbed, that's the word I'm looking for. Sorry, I recognize that handle. Canadian winters are the worst, Daniel. But yeah, Kaizen Pro Wrestling is a great thing to follow. Sorry, that's another wrestler from here that I'm just like, hey.
Hey, welcome. You're quite the tail end.
TikTok and Instagram is Tinks Babs, and then I think that's pretty much what I'm in. I don't really use Twitter anymore. Too toxic.
I stopped as soon as toward the end of last March. I was just like, I can't be on here anymore. I'm getting too anxiety because I know too many people he knows that's on there, and they started being like, I was like, felt weird. Feel like, you know, when you can't see somebody because they did something, so they're avoiding you. But there's people, he was telling people you can't see it, but you feel like they're all staring at you, and you're like,
yeah,
I need to get out of here.
Yeah, I found Twitter was just like, I got into it, and then there was a lot of speaking out on issues in the music scene as well as the wrestling scene and like the Comic-Con scene. All three of them I sort of like were involved with at that time, and this was like 2020, I think. And I just like, Twitter became like the worst about it, and I was just like, you know what, I'm just bye.
Time to go, yoink.
But yeah.
Well, yeah. Yeah, crazy. It's like, actually, I'd rather be somewhere that I feel I'm happy and like happy, and people are not yelling at each other and being rude on social media.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I keep it to wrestling reels and cat videos.
Yeah,
like,
pretty
that's
much
what it is.
Well, I want to, Tina, I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast to help me end the season 3 live edition for 2025. The very last episode of 2024 is on Wednesday. I'm having my very first British guest back, the one and only Kiara. Her episode airs on Wednesday. Everybody, please, if you're watching this later, because Tina sent it, kept DMing it to you, do you watch it? Don't forget to like this video. Please subscribe to the Joe Panther Variety Show on YouTube. Tina, thank you so much. Before we go, if there was any kids that wanted to get into the wrestling business, what kind of advice would you have for them?
Oh, are we talking? Like, how young are we talking?
Like, I guess 18.
Okay. I would say, make sure, a couple of things. Make sure to always have fun, and that should always be your goal in wrestling, is to have fun. You can have the need for wrestling as much, but if you aren't having fun, your life is just going to suck away from you. And like, make sure your mental health is at least in the okay bracket, and make sure that even if you have to pull back a little bit from whether it's you're in ring, doing shows, you know, the grind that you're expected to just drill, if your mental health needs it, pull back just a little bit and be okay with that, because this world is insane right now. There's a lot of terrible things happening, but there's a lot of beautiful things happening, and pro wrestling is one of them. It's such a unique art form. It's beautiful form of storytelling that you can be a part of. You want to have fun because that's how you make other people have fun, and just make sure to give your heart and brain a break when you need to. Awesome.
Well, fans, I want to thank you all for watching this podcast here, Dudes at Ringside in 2024. I want to thank all my guests that I had live this year. So many of you that I can't even say. There's so many. It would have to be like on the SNL, like reflecting across the screen. But thank you, everybody, for accepting the invites. I definitely want to have fresh blood. I know Tina's going to be spreading the word to all of her friends when she's done.
Hey,
Thank you so much. Thank you, Tina.
thank you.
I'm Joe Panther III.
I'm Tina Babineau.
And we will catch you in the next one.